Hey y'all, it's Nina. Welcome back to my channel. I cannot believe it's June. My birthday was just a few days ago. I am the big 35 and feels pretty good. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the 5 things that I do not use on my locks. These are either things that I used to use at one point and I stopped using them, or things that I've never used and will never ever use or recommend to anybody. So let's jump into it. The first thing that I do not use on my locks and will never use is beeswax. I've talked about this a lot and I get a lot of questions about it, and I found that for me, wax is just a no-go. And for a lot of people, wax is a no-go. It's very thick, and if you have a finer texture of hair, I understand the desire to maybe want to use something that's going to help keep the hold. But you have to decide, is it really worth it if this is going to potentially lead to dust and debris getting attracted to my locks? So I don't recommend beeswax. I don't use beeswax. I've never needed it. I'm also not somebody that is super duper meticulous when it comes to my retwist, so I don't need the hair to be extremely slicked down and tight. Unless you're washing your locks pretty much every day or every other day, which is unrealistic for most people, using beeswax is just gonna be very risky and it's not worth it to me. So number 2 thing that I don't use on my locks, so bonnets. Bonnets are a huge topic of discussion right now. My stance on bonnets personally is that you should not wear them outside, but that's a whole other video. But I don't wear bonnets because I don't like to wear anything that has an elastic band at the front. So I tie my locks up with things that have a smooth edge, like this scarf here. So this has a smooth edge. It doesn't have an elastic band. I find that elastic bands will snag and tug at my hairline. My edges are already very fragile. I'm not dealing with that. The number 3 item I don't use on my locks is oil sheen. I'm talking about the tall bottle of oil sheen that, you know, everybody used to use in high school. I remember spraying that on my hair and it was relaxed and it would make it really shiny and nice and all that was great. I don't use that now because those oil sheens tend to have a ton of chemicals in them. And even though I'm sure they probably would make my locks a little bit shinier, I'm always concerned about buildup. That's the number 1 goal for me when I think about what I'm putting on my locks, so I don't use those. So for the moisture and shine, I use a variety of oils and water, and sometimes it's hit or miss. I'm not gonna act like using natural products is going to give you the same exact results as using, you know, more commercial products, because a lot of the time it doesn't. But for me, it's just deciding what I'm willing to deal with and, you know, what I feel comfortable putting in my locks ultimately. I remember the first time I saw somebody put oil sheen in their locks, I was like, oh my God, I never even thought about that, because I stopped using oil sheen so long ago. Even when I was a loose natural, I hadn't used oil sheen in years. One thing I do spray in my locks to get nice moisture and sheen is the Lion Locks Advanced Rosewater Treatment. It's for skin and locks. It's free of sulfates, parabens, PGs, phthalates, gluten, silicones, dyes, wax, and mineral oils, and I love the way it smells. It's so refreshing. My boyfriend actually really likes this too. He's used a lot of it, so it's time for me to re-up. So if you're looking to refresh and moisturize your locks, I definitely recommend this spray from Lion Locks, and I will leave the link to this below. The next thing I don't use on my locks is the colored wax. So back in 2017, I did try to color one of my locks with colored wax. It took 2 years for the color to finally go away. It was when I got my locks colored in June of 2019. I have wanted to try the hair paint wax like in full over my locks. I know lots of folks have. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I'm not really sure I want to try. I'm honestly thinking about it just leaving a mess all over my bathroom and then on my pillow, the headrest in my car. So yeah, I don't know if I want to deal with that headache. If you've used hair paint wax, let me know in the comments your thoughts about it. Let me know how easy it was for you to wash out. Maybe since it's summertime, I might experiment with it, but the odds are probably not. And finally, the last thing that I don't use on my locks, setting foams and setting lotions, etc. So it's funny because I used to do my braid outs with setting foam. So yeah, I stopped using setting foam about 1.5 years ago. And I think in terms of things that could potentially be problematic for locks, those might be a little bit lower on the list, you know, compared to something like beeswax because it's so thick and the setting foam is water-based a lot of the time. But I still just have gone really clean and simple and natural. When I do my braids, again, it's just the water and oil, and keeping it simple is just the overall theme of what I'm trying to do. I guess by not using some of these products, sometimes I do feel like my hair does not look as polished as it can look necessarily. And I think that's because those products tend to coat the hair a lot. It's a risk that I'm not really willing to take. I mean, it's just my personal philosophy. I don't believe that my locks should be full of buildup. When you use all those different products and you're layering them on top, you're definitely putting your locks at risk for buildup. When you're a loose natural or you're relaxed, it's so much easier to experiment with different products, see what works, see what doesn't, do all kinds of layering and stuff. With locks, that is just not wise. When it comes to having locks and maintenance and styling and products and all of that, you really have to ask yourself where you fall on the maintenance spectrum. Are you somebody who likes your locks super neat, super tight, super clean all the time? Or are you somebody who likes a more natural, more organic, more low-key, low maintenance look? I think for most of my journey, I've probably been kind of in the middle, but more towards that natural, organic, low-key, low-fuss look. But the thing is, for either end of the spectrum, there are trade-offs. So on this one end where you have a super sleek, super clean look all the time, your risk is going to be thinning from over twisting, over maintaining your hair, and then also product buildup from using all this different stuff. If you're on this other end of the spectrum and you're using natural products, you don't have to worry about all the chemicals that somebody on this end might have to worry about. But then there are times where your hair feels wild and free and it doesn't feel as polished. And you know, it really just depends on where you fall and how it fits with your lifestyle. There are some times where I do wish that my locks look really sleek, but I just know that the price that I'd have to pay in terms of buildup and thinning is not worth it to me, because I've heard way too many horror stories. And that's really why I tend to steer clear of products that have a lot of ingredients in them and products that are really thick and heavy, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be harder to wash out. So that's all for this video. Please tell me which products you do not use on your locks.